All right, and we have white again. OCDT Brousseau, 1187. All right, well, another white game, another e4 game. And let's see what our opponent throws at us this time. Well, once again, my official recommendation is the Alapin Sicilian. This is what we are focusing on in the speedrun. We're playing the Alapin and the Mora interchangeably. And we're facing d5, which, as I've indicated many times, is one of Black's two most reputable responses to the Alapin, the other being knight f6, which is a smidge more popular these days. Now, d5 basically leads to a Scandi with the pawns on c3 and c5, which is clearly in Black's favor because the pawn on c5 does the important job of controlling the center, whereas the pawn on c3 has the unfortunate drawback of preventing the knight from developing to its rightful square. So if you want to think of it as kind of a Scandi with the move c3, c5 included, you can kind of do that. Now, of course, the pawn on c3 also has a benefit. There's a reason we put it there, and the reason we put it there is to prepare the move d4, occupying the center with our pawn. And I would say, and I'm pulling this number a little bit out of my butt, but any number, any like rating below 1900, this is a tremendously dangerous position for Black. It doesn't look that dangerous. It doesn't even look like white is imposing any kind of threats on Black. But if Black mishandles this position, white gets a massive initiative. Obviously, the queen on d5 is far from safe. It can be chased away in a variety of ways. And one mistake that people make right off the bat here, in many cases, is that they take on d4 prematurely. And we've won a couple of games that way. And of course, the reason that taking on d4 is often inaccurate is because it opens up the c3 square for white's knight, allowing us to transition the game into kind of normal Scandi channels, chasing the queen away from d5. And when the queen is chased away from d5, the pawn on d4 can then frequently advance to d5 itself. And if there's a knight on c6, white can in many cases develop a pretty devastating initiative. So I'm impressed with our opponent's play. Knight f6 is the correct move. And we, of course, follow up with our own developing move. We play knight f3. Then we kind of play this semi-waiting game, hoping that Black takes on d4 and flinches first. As for our other pieces, where we put them depends entirely on the developmental setup that Black chooses. Black has a lot of viable continuations here. On a broad level, the two main lines are to play bishop g4. This is the sort of very ambitious developing move. And in response to bishop g4, we have bishop e2. We also have this weird move knight b to d2 in order to set up bishop c4. We'll decide if our opponent plays it. And the second approach, which has been popular pretty recently, I actually just faced this in my blitz session right before the speedrun, is the immediate e6. And this is what Black chooses in this game. Now, the benefit of e6 is that Black quickly accelerates his or her kingside development. Black's idea, broadly speaking, is to play bishop e7 and quickly tuck the king away on the king side. And you might say, well, what about the c8 bishop? Well, the c8 bishop can be deployed oftentimes on the long diagonal. Black can play b6, bishop b7, or Black can just keep it on c8 for the time being. Not every piece needs to be distributing the COVID vaccine. Now, if you watched carefully my actual blitz games, you will know what the move is in this position. If you're not familiar with typical Alapin ideas, this is a very hard move to just figure out, right? If you were to play based on general principles, you might come up with a move like bishop e3 or maybe bishop d3. And bishop d3, by the way, is one of the main lines. But the most meat on the bone can be extracted not with a bishop move, but with a knight move. Now you might say, well, where are we going to go with the knight? Do we go knight bd2? Not quite. We actually go knight to a3. Very, very typical move in the Alapin. And the idea is actually threefold. The main point, as you can probably guess, is to play a well-timed knight b5. That threatens a family fork on c7, and when combined with the move bishop f4, exerts very serious pressure on Black's queen side. So that's idea number one. Idea number two is to use the knight as an anchor piece and prepare the aggressive development of the light-squared bishop to c4, which is also a tempo move. The third idea comes in handy in the event that Black plays the move a6, which is one of the main lines here. a6 prevents knight b5. Who can tell me what the third idea is? The third idea is just a move that we play in the event of a6. We don't play bishop c4 there. We don't play knight c2. Knight c2 is a little bit passive. We actually play knight c4. And why specifically in response to a6? Well, because you should notice that the b6 square is a massive weakness in that case, and knight c4 threatens another fork on b6. And it's not so easy for black to defend the square on b6 while keeping his pieces active. Because the last thing black wants to do is just drop the queen back to d8. That's passive, and that often gives white an advantage. And yet that's often precisely what black has to do in order to protect these key squares. C takes d4. Now here, we refrain from the move a lot of people are tempted by, which is bishop c4. Tempting move, but it's wrong because the queen has this very nasty check on e4. So bishop c4 is wrong. Instead, we make a different intermezzo. We play knight b5. We play knight b5 now. This is the main idea of the previous move. And you might say, well, wait a minute, what about queen e4 check here? Well, queen e4 check doesn't actually solve the problem of knight c7. After queen e4 check, we play bishop e2, and even though knight c7 doesn't fork the king and the queen anymore, it still forks the king and the rook, so it's still a massive threat. And black has no choice but to protect the c7 square. There are several ways to do that. The main move in this position is to drop the queen all the way back to d8. Black can also do it with the bishop, and that's exactly what our opponent just did, bishop to d6. But this is already a serious inaccuracy, and this hands white a pretty sizable positional advantage. It's not a terrible move. Bishop d6 is actually okay, but it gives us a major advantage and an initiative. So there's a couple of things that white can do. The Soviet schoolboy method would be to say, okay, well, we can just play knight takes d6 check, and we can collect the bishop pair, and then we can recapture the pawn on d4. And it should make sense to everybody that in the resulting position, white is positionally better. We have the bishop pair. We have with an open center. Our bishops are nicely placed. We can bring one bishop to d3 and the other bishop maybe to g5. And black still has to deal with the issue that his remaining bishop is stuck behind the pawn chain. So knight takes d6 check, nothing wrong with it. But in the spirit of the Alapin, we can try to extract as much juice out of this position as possible, especially given that we know the queen is a very bad defender. When the queen defends a minor piece, that construction is always going to be prone to a lot of different tactics. So what move can we try on the basis of that? Well, a lot of you are coming up with the idea of pushing c4. The problem with c4 is that it's a very leaky move. c4 opens up the diagonal and allows bishop b4 check intermezzo. Then black trades the bishop on b4 and drops the queen back to d8. It's not the end of the world for white, but it's not effective. Also after c4, black can drop the queen into c5. Kind of a weird square, but I don't see a good way to attack the queen when it lands on c5. So instead of pushing c4, we can do the same thing, the same exact thing, but while we're at it, we can continue our development and make a more serious threat against black's queen. The move is bishop to c4. I might say, well, I don't get how that differs substantively from the move c4. Well, first of all, it's a developing move, and that in and of itself is already good. But where you see the real benefit of playing bishop c4 over the move c4 is that if black plays now the move queen to c5, we have kept open the possibility of then playing c takes d4. And everybody should see, by the way, why the bishop cannot be captured. The reason is that we recapture on d6, and that is once again a fork on the queen and the king. Now, black still has the move queen e4 check, and that might seem scary to you, but queen e4 check is a total paper tiger. We can block that check with our bishop. We can even move the king away, and black's lack of development is going to cost him very dearly, because the bishop on d6 has to remain on that diagonal in order to prevent knight c7 check. So in the resulting position, black has to tread very carefully in order to avoid losing more material. So king f1 here is possible, but I want to play this a little bit less adventurously. I think that we should just play a simple move. Actually, we can play bishop to e3. Talk about sexy. Bishop e3 might even be the best move in the position. I was going to propose bishop e2, but bishop e3 is a well-known idea in these types of lines, believe it or not. I've seen a line where bishop e3 is the main theoretical move. I will show you after the game. And bishop e3 looks fantastic because guess what? We're just completing our development. We're just making developing moves. And this is not as outlandish as it might seem if you understand the mechanism of how this move works. Right? The fact that the d6 bishop is hanging with a fork is so important. Black has to spend a tempo defending the bishop or moving it. And after that, we will finally recapture the pawn on d4. And we will have a massive lead in development, a monster knight on b5. And the queen on e4 is now more vulnerable than ever because when you've got a queen that's out in the center like this and none of the other pieces are developed, the queen is liable to get trapped or get attacked. And black is already in serious trouble. It took us 9 moves. King e7. Whoa. That is a surprise. And again, we have to switch gears seamlessly. Right? Stage 1 was the fun part, right? We brought all our pieces out. We were using tactics. Stage 2 is a little bit less glamorous. This is where we actually reap the rewards of our fine opening play, but we actually just play it very simple here. So first question we should resolve is whether or not we should take the bishop on d6. Should we snap this bishop off the board, or do we take on d4 straight away? Well, the answer I think can largely be yielded intuitively. Knight takes d6 doesn't really have a downside. We get the bishop pair, and especially in the context of black's previous move, don't you want to drive the king out to d6? And then in the resulting position, we definitely want to snap the bishop off. In the resulting position, we don't want to trade queens here. Is white better in that endgame? Absolutely. White is still better in that endgame, but we want to go for checkmate. With no development and the king sitting on d6, what do we actually recapture on d4 with? Well, we can't take with the bishop because the bishop is pinned. Taking with the pawn closes down the d-file, and the d-file is going to be the main attacking avenue. We, of course, want to take on d4 with the knight. And it should be very clear to you that in that position, after king takes d6, knight takes d4, queen takes g2 is as non-threatening as a move can possibly get, because we can go knight f5 check, and we're going to have checkmate 7 ways to Sunday there. I mean, we don't even have to calculate it. I'm not calculating that line. We'll cross that bridge if we get there. But there is no way that black can get away with queen takes g2 in that position. And looking more specifically, as we take on d4 with the knight, after queen takes g2, I think knight f5 double check leads to forced mate. Double check followed by a check on d6, and we hunt the king down pretty straightforwardly. Now, what's funny is that after queen takes g2, if you didn't see knight f5 check, the crazy thing is even a move like rook f1 preserves a devastating attack against black's king. So it's just a pawn. It's just a pawn. But I hope black takes it so we could have fun. King e7, good play by our opponent. King e7, I think, is the only way for black to stay alive. They have to move the king away from the potential discovered check. Now, again, this is the part of the game where a lot of players struggle because you're kind of rearing to go. You're looking for the knockout. But there is no knockout. We don't have enough pieces in the attack. Now, I would briefly check if I were white, a move like knight f5 check, maybe try to go bishop c5, but none of that works because the bishop is also pinned. And that's the key insight. The bishop is pinned. We need to unpin ourselves. And the way that we do that is by simply castling kingside. Now, this accomplishes several things. As I said, it unpins the bishop, but it also prepares to deploy the rook. Our next move is very likely to be rook to e1 in order to harass the queen and try to force the queen out of e4. And by forcing the queen out of e4, we're also opening up the e-file and setting up possibilities of knight f5 check, etc. Rook to d8. Still good defensive play by our opponent. Well, we continue deploying our pieces with rook to e1. Of course, we are totally not afraid of the move e5 here. There is no way that e5 is going to work out for black, given his total lack of development. In fact, I think after e5, the clinical move is bishop e3 to g5. And this might actually happen. That forces the queen away, and the queen has nowhere to go such that it maintains contact with the e5 pawn. Black is going to lose that pawn on e5 with check. Now, do we have a threat here? Well, e5 is played. So once again, why did our opponent play e5? Well, our opponent sees the fact that the knight can't move, and he gets excited. Something that you should notice is that black does not even have a threat. We could literally play a4 here, and we would still probably be winning. Why is that? Because if black plays e takes d4, we just recapture with the bishop, and the queen on e4 is pinned. Anytime you have alignment between the king and the queen, that is an incredibly vulnerable tactical situation. But that doesn't mean we're going to play a4. We are going to move the bishop away onto the best possible square. What is the best possible square for the bishop? Well, it's not f4. I can see some people falling for bishop f4. That simply blunders the bishop on f4. Of course, the best square is g5 because it also pins the knight. And it, most importantly, forces the queen away. What squares do the queen have at its disposal? Not many. f5 is covered. f4 is covered. So those are the two squares where the queen keeps contact with the e5 pawn. Queen g6 or queen g4 is forced. And then, of course, we grab the pawn on e5. We force the king back to f8. And who sees the crushing move in that resulting position? Again, a direct consequence of the fact that black has not developed any part of their queen side. Yeah, g6. Sorry if I said g5. What's the move after queen g6, rook takes e5, king f8? Of course, the move is knight d4 to e6, an elementary discovery against the rook on d8, and that leads to forced checkmate. Simple, straightforward attacking chess. But what really made the wheels of the attack turn, first of all, is the fact that we took on d6 at the right moment. So we forced black to waste a bunch of tempi moving back and forth. But castles and rook e1, these are the two moves that you should really pay attention to. And you should make sure that you would play these types of moves in your own game, that you wouldn't get tempted by some speculative attacking approach. The role of patience in attacking cannot be overstated, and this is a good lesson, a good introductory lesson in that regard. This is GG. Now black can try rook takes d4, but then we just recapture with the pawn, preserving all of our threats. And then even d takes e5 is crushing. Yeah, simple game, 14 moves. You can see that we are not compromising on the danger level just because we're playing an Alapin rather than a Mora. I promised you that, and I think you can see that in effect. If I was watching this on YouTube, I would ponder the idea that these are paid actors. Your ideas always work out. Well, for now, right? And one thing that you can observe, and I think this is one of the reasons people like the speedrun, is slowly but surely, the games start to become a little bit less smooth. Right now, it just seems like I play the moves in the opening, and then they work perfectly, and we're winning by move 15 every single time. And we are. When we hit 16, 1700, even a little bit earlier than that, you can start to see that my ideas don't always work out perfectly. I make some inaccuracies. The games last a lot longer on average. But that's, I think, part of what makes it fun. Okay, queen takes e1. Well, that gives up the queen. That actually might be the best that black can do. Crazily enough, that's how lost he is. But obviously, it goes without saying that the knight on d4 is untouchable because the e5 pawn is pinned, and our attack simply continues. Just because we're up a queen doesn't mean that we are pausing our attack. Black cannot even get a rook and a piece for the queen. What's going on here? Well, we have a queen for a rook, which is a totally overwhelming material advantage. But more importantly, we have a raging attack on the black king. If the knight comes out to d7, how are we going to actually win the pawn on e5? There's a very nice move and a very instructive move against knight bd7, which has been played. Who can spot this move? An important concept to keep in mind, right? Using your pawns to just blast through the gates here. The best move is just to play f4. Very nice. f4 is crushing. Notice how we're using the queen as the pinning piece, and we're using the pawn as the main attacker, and we're using the pin against the knight on e7, the knight on f6, to ensure that after e4, we can just pick up the pawn on e4. Now, what should we do here? In order to figure that out, you should understand that the ultimate goal for white, the fastest way to win a game like this, is just to open up as many files as possible. It's not really to win pawns. We already have an extra queen. So what's the best way to just blast open the E file, the F file, as many files as you can? It's not bishop takes f6. It's just f takes e5. This is the simplest way. And this should make sense too, because after h, g, e, f, we've opened up both the E and the F file, and the king has no safe haven. If it moves to the F file, we follow it to the F file with our queen. If it moves back to F8, then queen E7 check leads to checkmate. If king D6, then still queen E7. Everywhere the king goes, we just tail it with our queen, and this is made in 3 moves. We don't even take the rook on D8. We take on F7 and take on G7 with checkmate. Bang, and then bang. And that's the best way to finish the game. So again, a simple game. But if you're watching and you're finding this to be boring, try to focus on kind of building fundamentals and making sure that your fundamentals are in place, that you would play the same moves that I played in this game. So a little bit of opening theory here. A little bit of opening theory. D5 is impressive from someone at his level. A lot of people know the basics, which is great. So after D4, knight F6, knight F3 leads to an incredibly famous and well-studied theoretical position. E6 is a good move. And I had this recently against Arjun Erigaisi in Aim Chess. I also had this in a classical game in the US Open against the GM where I won a nice game. We actually had this exact position. Now, if I remember correctly, Black's two best moves in this position are considered to be, first of all, A6, which I mentioned during the game. And here, the line goes knight C4. How is Black going to defend B6? Who can tell me the best way for Black to defend the B6 square? Can Black do it while developing a piece? Yeah, knight B8 to D7. This is an important move. And Black's next move is very likely to be B7, B5. Chase the knight away from C4 and prepare the deployment of the light squared bishop to B7. Now, you might wonder, let's say you're a GM and where do you go from here? Let's say you want to study this position. Well, that's where opening books are so valuable. You would just pull out the Alapin book, which I know all of you guys have, and you would check what the authors recommend in this position. That's really all you do in many cases to deepen your knowledge of important theoretical positions. And that's what I can do right now. Just pull out the book. And orienting yourself in these long opening books can be difficult, but the table of contents usually has a pretty good overview of all of the pertinent lines. Okay, 242. There we go. Yep, I see it now. So what the authors recommend in squeezing the Sicilian is, knight A3, D3, A6, page 292, knight C4, NBD7. They just give bishop E2. And they say here it deserves attention for white to try A4, restricting Black's possibilities on the queen side. So interesting alternative, but their main line is bishop E2. And now they give a bunch of analysis, but their main line is C takes D4, knight takes D4. Now, queen takes G2 allows bishop F3 with a massive initiative for white. And they give a bunch of analysis here with the upshot that white has huge compensation for the pawn. And the main line here is E5, trying to force the queen trade. Now we sink our teeth into F5. And they say that in the event of the queen trade, white has a slight advantage, according to some correspondence game. Fillon against Salon from 2008, knight F6 check. Yeah, clearly white is slightly better here. And if Black tries to trade on his own terms with knight C5, then, according to the authors, you drop the knight back to E3, you force the queen trade, and they claim that white is slightly better in this position due to the improved placement of the knight on C4. So this is really what opening study starts to look like when you cross like a certain level. I wouldn't recommend a 600 to purchase a book like this and spend hours digging around in opening theory. But that's really all there is to it when you want to deepen your knowledge of critical theoretical lines. So A6 might not fully equalize. Our opponent plays C takes D4, which is, of course, and the engine does support that. This is a pretty recent book. There definitely are holes in that book. It was written in 2020, so already the engines have gotten stronger, but you can still very much rely on resources, I would say from 2015 onwards. If you're anybody except Magnus Carlsen, any book written past 2015 on the opening by a solid player, by a GM, you can not necessarily trust verbatim, but you can use as a base. So C takes D4, we play knight B5. Threatening knight c7. And here, of course, came a massive mistake by Black. Conceptually, the move bishop d6 makes sense. Black tries to defend the square on c7 while developing a piece, but doing so with the bishop is just a very inefficient use of resources due to this very nasty response, bishop c4. So what was the correct move in this position? The only correct move is knight to a6. Very typical move. And knight a6 is ubiquitous across many different openings where a knight lands on b5. And what comes to mind as a comparison is the Jababa London, which is a totally unrelated opening, but an opening that also features, in many cases, the move knight b5 as early as move 4. And here, you often see black going knight a6, which is a nice square from which to defend the c7 pawn. So, so knight a6 is a move. No, I mentioned queen d7, but that's in a different position. Queen d7 is the move. If black plays in this position knight c6, and white plays knight b5, which I actually just had in a blitz game. Here, queen d7, I think, is the topical move that's supposed to equalize. But don't quote me on that. You can do your own research here. So cd4, knight b5, knight a6 is the main move. And here, white normally plays queen takes d4. Although you can also play knight b takes d4. And I think in all cases, white is better. I think white is solidly better in this position. This, I think, is what the authors recommend. And if memory serves me right, they give this line bishop e7, bishop e5 check, bishop d7, and now something to keep the tension like queen e2. And black is just a little bit cramped. And the queen on d5 in such positions is obviously very vulnerable. Like if black castles and white castles, rook d1 is coming to a theater near you, and that's going to cause massive anguish to black's queen. White is slightly better. It's more comfortable to play this with white. So hopefully this opening overview isn't too boring. In any case, bishop d6, bishop c4 leads to massively unpleasant consequences for black. Well, king d8. King d8 is a huge concession, right? If you have to go king d8 to protect the c7 square, I'm just going to take on d4 and say, hey, your king's terrible, and I'm just going to continue developing, right? So bishop d6, bishop c4, queen e4 check, and bishop e3 is a sexy move. And I wanted to show you another line where bishop e3 is the main theoretical move. Yeah, the engine likes queen takes d4, which is a totally legitimate move, because after queen takes d4, knight f takes d4, I'll tell you what I missed. I thought that after bishop e5, black is stable. But here there's an incredibly strong move. Who can find this move? There's a hidden move here that wins material for white, and it's not f4. I know some of you are probably thinking f4. I can guarantee it. It's not f4. And the reason it's not f4 is because of bishop takes d4. And something that you should note down, don't stop calculating just because you win the rook on a8. You have to make sure that a situation doesn't arise where black has already won one minor piece and is likely to win a second one with b6, bishop b7. So this is a very double-edged position, but you can avoid all of this by doing the same thing in a different way. Knight d4 to f3 is incredibly strong. Exactly. It prevents bishop takes d4, and black has no choice. Black has no choice but to play a6, losing a healthy pawn in the endgame. White should be technically winning here. So that was the engine's preferred choice. I didn't see knight f3 from a distance, but I still like bishop c4. And the final opening note that I'll make, the line in which bishop e3 is featured, if memory serves me right, is this line where black plays g6, which is a viable sub-variation of the d5 line. And after knight f3, bishop g7, white again goes knight a3. And there's an old line where white plays c takes d4. Now white plays bishop c4. That's a move that we did not play in the game, but the position is different. And after queen e4 check, if you've never seen this move before, it's an absolutely stunning idea. What is white's move? White's move is bishop to e3. This is actual theory. And who can figure out the idea after d takes e3? What the heck is white doing here? Well, like I said, anytime there's a queen and it's in the center and you're not very well developed, there's going to be tactics. But not bishop b5 check. I know some of you are thinking, I see checkmate. But the check on b5 can be easily parried with knight c6. No, no, no. The move is bishop takes f7 check, stock tactic. And if king f7, you get forked on g5. And actually, most importantly, if king f8, you have the additional check on d8. Without this check, the whole line would fall apart, forcing king takes f7, and knight g5 check wins the queen with checkmate. So it's a beautiful move, bishop e3. And because of the threat of bishop takes f7, black is forced to spend a tempo getting the knight out to h6. And now white just recaptures on t4. And according to modern theory, white is better due to his lead in development and just due to the activity of white's pieces. So just a cool thing to file into your mental kind of Rolodex. Bishop b3 is a known idea in a different position. Ironically enough, we of course played it in a much simpler instantiation. Here we don't have to calculate anything because knight takes d6 just wins the game. But king e7 is the decisive mistake, no question about it. After knight takes d4, we are already, or sorry, bishop d6 was the decisive mistake. Here we're already completely winning. There's just no way the black can truly defend this given the pathetic king situation. Now, if Magnus Carlsen were sitting with the black pieces, then after rook d8, rook e1, he would probably play the move queen g6. And the game does continue here. A lot of you pointed out knight f5 check. This still does not work. It doesn't work because of queen takes f5. And even if you could play bishop c5, it would still not work because of king e8. So again, in such a position, it's so important to be patient. Who can give me an example of a nice, solid, patient improving move for white? There's a couple of moves like that, but let's see if you can generate a couple of good alternatives here with white. Yeah, love the move queen b3, aiming the queen at b7 and aiming it at e6. Similarly, I love the move queen to f3, get the queen onto a nice square, and then bring the rook to d1. Play it simple. Now, queen f3 might be inaccurate because of queen g4, and this forces a queen trade, which obviously is in black's favor. The engine actually proposes a more brute force method. It proposes the move bishop back to d3 in order to eliminate the pin against the queen and open up the possibility now, finally, of that check on f5, which all of you wanted to deliver. Queen h5, knight f5 check is clearly already possible. Because now, after e takes f5, you have checkmate starting with bishop c5. Oh, and look at this mate. Rook e7, queen a4, sack another minor piece, check here, and mate on c4. Amazing line. And just look at the sorry state of black's pieces. This is all you need to know. So lots of juicy, spicy lines like this. Now, black has a creative defensive idea here. Queen takes f5. Bishop takes f5, rook a takes d1, rook takes d1. But what's amazing is that black loses here because ef5, bishop c5 is literally double check and mate. Look at how white's pieces are all in perfect symphony here, coordinated and depriving the king of all squares. So incredible lines here. And after knight f5, if black plays king f8, then, oh my god, look at the engine move here. This is amazing. Bishop d3 to e2. Holy, and I'm just going to throw in the cuss word, holy S word. Because the rook is hanging on d8, right? So black has to take the queen. Now a critical move for white. You have to throw in the intermezzo bishop c5 check. This forces the king to move to g8, and hopefully by now you see the idea. If black goes king e8 instead, then you go knight takes g7 and you win everything. But after king g8, you simply play rook a takes d1 with a double attack. You're threatening checkmate, and you're threatening to win the queen back, and black cannot get all of the material back for the queen. Black's going to be down in exchange. Incredible. Now, why do you need bishop c5? Because if you were to take immediately, then black wins after queen takes f5. You can't play bishop c5 anymore, and rook d8 is now futile on account of king e7. So at some point, these games become tactical, and when they do, you have to calculate accurately. You have to be ready to find creative solutions. But hopefully, you know, this inspires you a little bit. These lines aren't necessarily all that instructive, but they just illustrate the potential that you have when you patiently deploy all of your pieces. So bishop d3 is the best move, and then knight f5 to follow. But the human move is something like queen b3 or queen f3. Even a slow move like h3, nothing wrong with this. This keeps a huge advantage as well. So, in any case, e5, bishop g5, of course, ends the game immediately. Just to reiterate, after queen g6, rook takes e5 check, king f8, and the easiest winning move is knight to e6 check, picking up the rook on d8. You simply cannot survive if you're playing black without developing any of your pieces. Which is why if I'm playing black here, I would go either queen g6 or maybe even knight c6, desperately trying to bring your pieces into the game. Anyways, e5, bishop g5, our opponent gave up the queen, and f4, not taking our foot off the gas pedal, knocking off the e5 pawn, opening up as many files as possible, and checkmating with queen f7, queen g7. Pretty simple game, but I think it led to a nice discussion of opening theory. I'm starting to kind of introduce to you the general tenets of the Alapin Sicilian. If you have a hankering for more Alapin content, you can find plenty of it already on my YouTube channel. I've had so many speedrun games in the Alapin, and you could just search by opening. But we will have many more Alapins, and we will have a lot more discussion of opening theory. For now, I think it's a good time for us to end. I'm going to probably put both of these games in the same video. It's going to be a long one. Or I might separate it. I'll ask my editor what he thinks. But I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 speedrun games today. I think they were fun. We're still in the area where the games are basically straightforward and most of them are decided in the opening. And that's going to be the case for another 100, 150 points. But that's okay. That allows us to build a solid foundation and talk about theory. And I hope you're enjoying the games, even if they're one-sided. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. And again, if you aren't subscribed to my YouTube and you want to support my content in an easy way, the best thing to do is to subscribe to the YouTube, keep growing the channel. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one, and hopefully see you tomorrow for more SCC action. Rating Hannah, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys later.